Hi there, my name is Johan van Schalkwyk and I will be taking you through the Renewal of Professional Registration process, the various categories, and then there's a practical side to it as well, so it might be a good idea to get your computers or laptops out and you can physically do it with me. I think that will save you quite a bit of time. So let's get started. This is an interesting slide, and I think one should always just understand the background of where CPD comes from and where it sits in the scientific environment. You've always got right at the top the government. Now look, the government's supposed to look after the health and safety of the public. In this case it will be the Department of Science and Information. You've got DAF, you've got all of that. That's the government, that's the top level. Then underneath that you've got your councils. Now, your councils are statutory bodies, they are councils. They have been gazetted, and their main and big responsibility is to register the professionals within that specific environment. You'll have SACNASP as an example, or YAPASA. For the engineers you will have EXA, and that's the main objective, is to set the standards and to make sure that the people that operate in that specific environment are competent and they can actually do the work. Hence the life of the councils. Now under that you will have your voluntary associations and your training providers. They are exactly that, they're voluntary associations. So you can choose whether you want to belong to the GSSA or any one of those voluntary associations. That's your choice. Obviously working for a company, the company then should support you in this notion. So this is the bottom part. It's if I want to, I can kind of scenario. I suggest you do, because you'll see later that you get CPD credits for belonging to a VA. So there is merit in actually doing that. But your councils, there you have to. If you want to be registered as a professional, you have to go that route. That just gives you a brief understanding of how the levels work and how you fit into it. So you work for the company, you belong to a voluntary association, but you are registered as a professional with the council, and then the councils report back into government again. Just a quick why this continual professional development. It actually happened right in the beginning with the doctors, where there were more and more failures happening, and technology moved at such a rapid pace that some of the doctors did not keep track with that, and they were still using old methods, which then led to some operations being unsuccessful. Long story short, the government then decided we need to stop this from happening, and we need to, and dare I use this word, force the doctors to start doing continual professional development to keep up with the modern technology and where it's moving and what's happening for what. So as I mentioned earlier, the government's responsibility is to look after the health and safety of the public. And if they don't do that, then they fail in their main mandate. So it is a government issue at the end of the day. One of the big issues is preventing failures from happening. Now, if you think about it, and you've seen this happening around you, if an engineer makes a mistake and a bridge collapses, there's people that die. Now, more so in the scientific environment, if you look at a mistake, let's call it a mistake, being made when it comes to the water supply, or when it comes to feeding animals, or whatever the case might be, the impact and the failure of that is massive. So one would always try to prevent that from happening, and that links straight to quality of work. If you keep on training yourself and you get upskilled all the time, your quality of work by default will improve. You've also got professional indemnity insurance, so that plays a massive role from a risk management point of view. So that's why you'll find that the PI companies always support the notion of continual professional development. I see more and more these days that clients also support the notion because they want to know that if they employ you, that or you win a contract, that you can actually do the work and can do it properly, knowing the latest technology. And then the last one is a simple one. Well, the Scientific Professions Act of 2003 made it very clear that the council, SACNASP, have got all the rights to install a CPD system and link it to renewal of professional registration. Now, the first renewal cycle, remember we kicked this off on the 1st of April 2017, and the cycle is now up on the 31st of March. And in saying that, we're not going to have a hard lockdown or a hard shutdown on the system itself. We'll at least give you 30 days to go and update your portfolio. You'll see to it when we get down there later. So the first renewal one is up, so the first 5-year cycle is now done and dusted. Now, it kicked off on the 1st of April 2017, so anybody and everybody who was registered prior to 2017, 1st of April, falls into this category. Now, it's also important to note that if you register as a professional, let's say for argument's sake, in 2019, then you calculate that month, that date and that month, plus 5 years into the future, and that will give you your renewal cycle. The CPD categories that's now linked to your renewal of professional registration works like this. Now remember, when we kicked off, it was 25 credits over a 5-year cycle, started 1st of April, renewal 31st of March 2022. There are 3 categories in which you can register or which you can claim CPD credits for. Category 1 is your developmental activities. There is no maximum, so you just need to get a minimum of 5, but I'll go through this in more detail just now. Category 2 is your work-based activities, which got an A part and a B part. The B part is the mentoring. You also get credits for going to work and then obviously for mentoring as well. And then category 3, which is your individual activities, there is also A and B side. Individual activities is if you belong to a SACNASP validated or SACNASP recognized organization, you also get a credit. And then for all your other activities that you do, you also get rewarded for that. But I'll go through them step by step. This is important to note that during COVID and the lockdown, that changed the environment and made it extremely difficult to obtain the CPD credits. SACNASP decided to reduce the minimum requirement of 25 credits to 20. In category 1, which is the compulsory one, it was reduced from a minimum of 5 to a minimum of 3 credits, which makes life so much easier. And then obviously you can get the remaining credits in the other 2 categories. So please take note of that. So this cycle, this 2017 to 2022, this cycle, if you fall in that, then your credits that you need to obtain falls outside the normal 25 as per normal. Right, now let's get into the CPD credit, the actual categories. So category 1 is a developmental activity. And this is a compulsory category. There's no maximum credit, so you can get as many credits as you want to. Now, on a normal cycle, then you must get at least 5 credits over the 5-year cycle. Effectively, what it just means is 1 day out of the office that you need to go and spend 10 hours a year. So 1 day out of the office or doing training a year, I think it's quite achievable. If you do that every single year, then you should be fine. But if you decide, due to your work circumstances or whatever the case might be, that you would rather get your 5 credits the last year, you can also do that. You can go in a 5-day course on the last year of your cycle and you'll still be compliant. Or you can split it. You can have, let's say you go to a 3-day course in your 2nd year, and then in your 3rd year you go for another 1-day course, and your 5th day you go for another 1 day. and there's your 5 credits. Just make sure that you accumulate that over the period of time and book it out so that you don't get at the end of the cycle and go, oh, I now need to get these credits, where am I going to get them from? So please take note of that. It's also important when you go to a course or a seminar or an event or a webinar or whatever the case might be, make sure that it's CPD validated. It must be CPD validated, and it must be validated for SACNASP. So please take note of that and make sure that you check with the training provider if it's validated and how many credits do you earn from attending that specific course. So please bear that in mind, and I just remember, once again, as a footnote, that this cycle you only need 3, you don't need 5 for this specific category. So bear that in mind. Category 2, that's your work-based activities. That's the A and B part. Now remember, your work-based activities, just for going to work, you get credits. How nice is that? So you get 1 credit for every 400 hours spent at work, but that's now reduced down to 300. So you get 1 credit for every 300 hours spent at work. Now here's a maximum. Remember, category 1 there's no maximum there, but category 2A has got a maximum. You can claim a maximum of 2 credits per year, which is your 800 hours, or 600 now due to COVID. But we've done the calculation, and everybody in this environment works 1,000 hours, if not more. So you'll find there. So you've already got it. Now category 2B, that's mentoring. So for every 50 hours that you mentor, you also get 1 CPD credit for that. There's a maximum, so you can only claim 1 credit per year. So just note that. Even if you go over, you can only claim a maximum. You can do 100 hours, and you can get 2 credits, but only 1 counts. Good. Category 3, this is also quite a nice one. If you belong to a SACNASP recognized voluntary association, you also get 1 CPD credit. So that's easy enough. There is a list of all the recognized voluntary associations on SACNASP website, so you can go and check it out there. Now, category 3B, and I get lots of questions regarding this one. What is individual activities? What are individual activities? Let's just first check it. You can get a maximum of 3 credits here. You can go over, and most of you most probably do go over, but you can only claim a maximum of 3. Now, that is all the other stuff. Now, let's look at other stuff. There is lots of companies that does informal training. That counts. There's lots of people that do presentations. There's people that mark exam papers. There's people that subscribe to industry magazines. There's people that lectures. There's research that sits over and above your normal work. All of those kind of activities count. And the rule of thumb here is for every 10 hours that you spend, you can claim 1 credit. So if you spend 5 hours, then obviously it's 0.5. If it's a 1-hour presentation that you've done, then you claim 0.1 credit for that. So if you do 10 presentations during the year of an hour long, then you've got 1 CPD credit for that in the bag. So it's quite a nice, easy one, but it's that story again. If you don't know, then you think, what is individual activities? It's anything that makes you a better professional at the end of the day. So, and it doesn't have to be specifically to your field of practice. Same as in category 1. If you want to do a course on finance, you can still go and do a course for finance. If it's validated for CPD credits, then you can claim for it, even here. So it's not your field of practice bound. So also just note that. Here's also a question that I get quite often. What evidence do I have to upload to the system? Once again, please don't make your life difficult. Keep it as simple as possible. So in category 1, when you attend a conference, right, they should give you attendance certificate or certificate of attendance. So make sure that you get that certificate from them, right? If they don't issue certificates, then ask them for a letter of attendance. You can even submit the attendance register. You can submit, if you went to a webinar, your registration for that webinar, because they don't issue necessarily certificates. So any proof that you have that you've attended that activity, you upload that as evidence. And category 2A and B, the A part, we do not want to know about your contracts or how much you get paid or any of those kind of stuff. Please don't upload that. I don't even think the POPI Act allows you to do that. A letter from your HR confirming your employment, good enough. We don't need anything more. I think if you're self-employed, then draft that letter yourself, get it certified, and you upload that. Simple, straightforward, right? From the B side, if you do mentoring, that's a difficult one because when you mentor students or candidates, how do you prove that? My suggestion is always get a letter from your HR department, once again confirming that you do mentoring. Just make sure that the candidate names reflect on that letter. You can also upload a workplace training plan that you have with them. I don't think it's necessary to upload minutes of the meetings or anything like that, but some form of evidence or agenda for the year with that mentoring, that will suffice. So don't go overboard here, please. Category 3A and B, you usually get a certificate from when you belong to one of those voluntary associations anyhow, or a letter, so that's easy enough, you just upload that. And then for the B part, once again, just anything that proves that you've actually been there. Remember, this is like a quality management system. So it's just verifying that what you're saying is actually true. So your registration to industry magazines, that invoice, you can submit that. A letter from the university that you do part-time lecturing, that'll be fine. If you write to various industry organizations, then you get a letter from them and upload that. So keep it simple, just anything that proves that you've done that. Let's do a quick calculation, and I find this always fascinating because everybody thinks that the CPD system is so difficult and it's insane, and I'm going to get all these credits, and now they're going to take away my professional registration. And well, let's just have a look at it, right? So you need 5 credits in category 1 over a 5-year cycle. So that is 5 days out of the office, 5 training events over 5 years. So that's 5 credits in the bag. You only need now 3, remember, due to this COVID issue that we had, so you only need 3 for this cycle. Category 2A, if you go to work, you get 2 credits. So you've already, just by going to work, already have 10 credits in the bag over the 5-year cycle, right? Easy enough. Bonus, if you mentor, you get another 1 credit per year. There's another 5 in the bag. Now you're already on 15, plus then the 5 in category 1. Right, now you're on 20 already, and you only need 25. Category 3A, there's another 5 if you belong to a SACNASP recognized voluntary association. And then category 3B, all of the other activities that you do, right? You get the maximum of 3 credits per year, that's another 15. So what have you really done that major labor intensively different than what you normally do? Not much, it's just that category 1, right? So if you look at it, you potentially got 39 credits, we only need 25, well, the cycle 20, but you see the point that I'm driving at here. So it's really that easy and simple enough to get it. It's just that category 1 that you need to commit to, which I do understand is difficult, but it's not, unattainable. Worst case scenario, just in category, or any one of the 2 categories. Look, you don't have to get points in category 1 every year. You can skip that for a year or 2 and get it in the other years. But you must just, at least in one of the 2 categories, get your credits. So it's really, really not that difficult. Here's also an interesting question that I get. But what if I'm a retired member? What about me? How do I fit into the picture? I still want to keep my professional registration, but as a retired member, I don't really work that much anymore or do any of that kind of things. Now, we're working on this one because SACNASP doesn't have a database of retired professionals. When that's up and running, then yes. But as the policy stands now, that if you are a retired member, you're not bound by CPD, but if you still do carry out part-time work, then it means that you need to get at least one CPD credit per year, and that one doesn't have to be in Category 1. You're exempt from Category 1. So it's actually quite simple and easy for you still to retain your professional registration. If you should decide to go back to active duty, if I can call it active duty, then before you enter the market again, then you should at least have 3 credits or 3 CPD activities that you can prove that you have kept up with your CPD points, and that will allow you back in again. So this one is really easy. Good. Now let's do the practical exercise. So for those ones who've got their laptops and computers open, please go to this site here, the https://cpd.sacnas.org.za. It's important that you go to this address because there are 3 different websites, and you'll see it when you go to Google that comes up. And you most probably going to end up at the wrong page. And you know when you're at the right page when the login details ask you for your SACNASP registration number, right? And your password is your ID number. So if you land on a site where it asks you for your email address or anything like that, then you're at the wrong website. SACNASP registration number plus your ID number, right? So for those ones who've logged in, you can go there, put in your SACNASP number and your ID number, and then you click on log in. Now after you've logged in, you will land on this dashboard. Here's your dashboard. It tells you there's your 5 years, Category 1, Category 2, 3 total, and you can edit from here. There's some other information as well, but it's not, get sidetracked by that. So your first step and the first thing that you do, you click here on the left, CPD portfolio. You click on that one first. After you've done that, then you will end up with a page that, forget about these 2 now, that looks like this. So only this will appear. Now, from there, you've got 3 choices here. You can, number 1, change your CPD system. We recognize the GSSA's, the Geological Society's CPD system is recognized here. So you can go and change it if you're a geologist. And you can select that as your CPD system, which just means that you don't have to abide by SACNASP rules. You only have to upload your letter of compliance every year as a geologist. Then you got number 2, and I'm working from right to left here. Edit your cover note. Now this is very important, especially if you are not compliant and you know you're not compliant and you've been posted overseas and you didn't have access to training, or you've been working in Africa for a couple of years, or and hopefully it never happens, but due to medical reasons you were booked off and you couldn't do work or training or anything like this. Here we've created space, as you can see here at the bottom left. You update this note so that when we go through the system and we see you're not compliant, we can go back to the additional comments here and we can see what happens so that you don't get penalized unnecessarily, right? And then your last option here on the left is add activities. Now let's go and add some activities. Good. Now after you've selected add an activity, you will land on this page. Right at the top, there's your year cycles, right? Now it's important to note that your cycles run from April to March. So go and select the year that you did your activity in first. That's the first thing you do, right? If you want to add activities in year 5, I've selected year 5 now, so you can select it as well. Here's your categories. Category 1, developmental activities. So If you click on this, then you go and add a developmental activity, which I will show you now. Category 2, same story, yeah? Add scientific related work, or B, add mentoring, so there that one sits. And then category 3, simple enough. Also the A and B one, add a membership to this activity or add your individual activities. So this is what it looks like, right? So let's go to add a developmental activity. Now that you've selected developmental activity, here's the actual page. It's important to note, because I always get this question, yeah, but I want to now add my own activities here. You can't. All of these activities that sit here, and you'll see it's a drop down, right? Only the CPD validated events that gone through the whole process, they sit here. You can't go and add your own thing. You can't do any of that. You go from this drop down and select the activity from there. So you can start typing it in and the drop down will come up and you can select it, or you can put the validation number in and it will appear. It will automatically update the type of activity, the organization, and the validation number. So you don't have to worry about these fields, right? You can see in what cycle you're in. Now this is important. Remember now I said the date range is extremely important. So it must fall within that date range. Otherwise, when you select this button to select a date, it will give you a no-go sign. If it gives you a no-go sign, you know your date range is wrong, because it doesn't fall in that year or that cycle or that period that you've selected. So you put in the dates and you add the credits. Why do you have to add the credits? Well, say for instance you go to a three-day seminar, but you only attend 2, so you only claim 2 credits. You don't claim 3 credits, right? If you attend all 3, then 3 is fine. If you only attended 1 of the 5 days, you only claim 1 of the 3 days, right? Administrator will also be pre-populated, and then you upload the supporting documentation. As I explained earlier, it could be attendance certificate, letter, whatever the case might be, and then you save it. Now the same story here, remember it will throw you back to the dashboard, and then you just go to category 2 and you click on add a work-based activity. So this one is very simple. Remember the date range, so it will be the same as that date range for that specific year. You put in your employer. Most of you, if not all of you, are going to put in 2 credits. You select the file that you want to upload, the letter from HR, or any supporting documents that actually prove that you are working for the company, and you save it. This will take you back to your dashboard again, where you can select the next activity, and the next one we're going to select is category 2B, the mentoring. Right, here's category 2B, mentoring of candidates. Your cycle is there. Remember your date range again. If it gives you that funny no-go sign, then you know your dates are wrong. You must be in the right cycle. Then you go and add your mentees' names in here. Very simple. And you claim your maximum, which is your 1 CPD credit for that. You select the files to be uploaded, your HR letter or some confirmation of that. And you hit save again. You see, simple, straightforward, easy. Let's move on to category 3. Right, now if you selected category 3A, which means belonging to a VA, voluntary association, then let's use the example SACNASP, South African Association of Animal Science. You from this drop down, once again it's a drop down, you select from there, you put in your membership number, your membership grade. Some have, some don't. If you don't have that, just put in member. Membership number, all of you have got a membership number. Date range, same story, put it in for that yearly cycle. You'll see the 1 credit's already added for you, and you just select the evidence, which is usually that letter or certificate that you get from your voluntary association. Click on save, it will take you back to your dashboard, and let's deal with category 3B. Category 3B, individual activities, details of the activity. So, informal training, subscription to industry magazines, part-time lecturing, marking PhDs, any and all of that stuff. Very brief, put in what your activity that you participated in, you add that there. You really don't have to write long stories. It allows you to put quite a bit in here, but you're all professionals, and there's not a system to check up on you or any of that kind of stuff. We know that you're professionals, and you do what you say and you say what you do. Right, that's a cycle again, date from and date to. You claim your credits. Remember, you can claim a maximum of 3 credits here. You select and upload the evidence that you've actually done that activity, and you click on save again. So when you're now done with all of your, or updated your portfolio, then you'll see this dashboard of yours will look different. You will have now credits in category 1 and 2 and 3. You have got the total credits there, and you will see whether you're compliant or not by adding up the total and making sure that you've done all of those activities. You might ask, how is this going to work? There's no hard shutdown or anything like that. On the contrary, that's one of the reasons why I produced this, so that we can have more people on board and give you at least 30 days, if not longer, to make sure that you have enough opportunity to capture the information. Please share this with your friends and your fellow professional scientists, so that they can go and update their portfolio. You don't have to submit or apply or do anything additional. Your portfolio is your portfolio. So you don't have to submit now another document to apply to renew your professional registration. We will be going through the database and look who's not compliant, and the ones who are not compliant, we won't immediately send you to jail or arrest you or anything like that, or take your professional registration away. We will first investigate and see what the reasons are, and remember, this is a process. So it's definitely not a hard one that now we're going to, take people's registration away. We first need to investigate why and see if we can't help and support the ones who are not compliant. And the ones who are compliant, thank you very much for that. You make my life and the administration at SACNASP so much easier. But we'll keep you posted, and hopefully we can get everybody on board and actually do this properly. It will take some time. Just to give you an example, I think I know EXA started the Engineering Council in 2006, and they also had to go through a long period of time before they could get to the point where actually all of the professionals are now actively involved, and there's a very small percentage that are not compliant. But I'm sure we'll also get there. Right, now you might ask yourself, what do I do when I'm not compliant? I'm lost, I don't know what's going for what, I need some serious help. Your first port of call, you call me, you phone me, you email me, you do something, but get hold of me so that I can sit and help you with it. I will literally, like I've illustrated now, do it with you. So you have got support. I'm here, shout, and I'll be there. Please also just make sure that training providers and the people and where you go to get training, let them contact me and let them get the material validated for CPD credits as well. It's imperative that we get as many training material as we can available on the system for you to claim. I also want to make a note here that if you attend any overseas events or webinars or any one of those types of one that's outside the borders of South Africa, please send it through to me, because I've also got, meaning SACNASP has also got the right to validate those ones so that you don't lose out on the overseas ones. Overseas ones will never be validated in South Africa, and we know and recognize that. So therefore, we've made provision for that by asking people, if you've gone overseas and you've done training there, send it to me or send it to us, and we will add it to the database. Well, there you have it. I really hope this helps. I will also, if you want me to do the presentation for your company, with modern technology, it's so much easier to do. So please shout, I'm here. And yeah, good luck. Please commit to this and send it to everybody, your friends, so that we can get the word out there. Thanks, and see you on the other side.